Okay, good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Welch Elementary School first community meeting. This is the first in a series of meetings we will be hosting so that you can find out all the details about the ongoing Welch School project, which is a partnership between Peabody and the Massachusetts School Building Authority. I'm Beverly Griffin Dunn, and I'm actually honored to serve as the chair of the Welch School Building Committee. The committee is made up of many members of our community, and we can get into that later. But first, what I want to do is turn this over to Mayor Betancourt and let Mayor Ted Betancourt give you some insight into this project, how we ended up here and what's going on. Take it away, Mr. Mayor.
Great, thank you, Beverly. And it's great to be with all of you tonight as we take another step in this important project. I'm thrilled to be a part of it. I think this is something certainly that's been long overdue and very excited to be a part of, I think, with what will be a terrific project that we're all proud of. We have an excellent team that that's really been working very hard, and I look forward to the presentation. And thank you, Mrs. Dunn, for giving me the opportunity to speak. But I really wanted to ask you to really, because you've been such a part of the Welch School and such an advocate for the Welch School community, I really wanted to turn it over to you and have you speak to the important work that's going on. But I'm really excited. We have a terrific team, and I'm looking forward to these steps that get us closer to our goal. So thank you.
Okay. Well, thank you, Ted. I will be honest with everyone. It's an amazing project, and it's been a long time coming, and we're very lucky that we were selected by MASSSBA to partner with them. When the Welch School project first went onto paper for an application before the MASSSBA, it was to replace windows at the Welch School and to replace the heating system, which is made up of univents. Everything that we were seeking were for repairs, and we put in our application under the repair projects. The MASSSBA came out and looked at the school, and they checked everything out, and they decided to put us into the core program, which actually opens up several avenues for us as far as making the repairs to the school. So we're going to not only replace the windows and replace the heating system, but there will be other things that need to be tended to, and you'll hear more about that from the experts as we go forward. When you do an MASSSBA project, there are a couple of requirements. One, you have to have approval of the school committee and the city council. You need to form a committee, and we do have a committee made up of a lot of people from Peabody, the mayor, the superintendent, Josh Vadala, Dan Doucette, Mike Gingras, Michelle Masser, our principal at the Welch, teachers at the Welch, community members, the PTO presidents, school committee members, and city councilors. And it's a great group because everybody brings a really good background into those meetings, and we all look at things differently. So by the time we've discussed something, everyone in the city has pretty much been represented on all of those discussions, whether it's, you know, the financing, the selection of different people to work on the project. It's been really, really interesting. The biggest component of anything like this is we're fixing a building, but we also are doing that for educational benefits. So at this moment, I'd like to turn it over to Dr. Vadala. Dr. Vadala can talk to you about some of the things that we're hoping to do with the improvements to the Welch. So take it away, Dr. Vadala.
Thank you, Mrs. Dunn. So I'm Josh Vadala, and I have the pleasure of serving as the superintendent of schools in Peabody. And you know, I've really had the opportunity to visit the Welch School over the summer several times, and now that we're in school, be able to visit and see the educational program in progress. You know, and as an educator for the past 2 decades, you know, we've really seen education change, and schools are more than just learning institutions. They're really, you know, the bedrock of many communities, and the Welch School is no different. And I think the Welch School is much more than a school for this neighborhood and for this community. And, you know, it really goes beyond just teaching and learning. It's an opportunity where kids feel safe, where families feel comfortable going and getting different resources. You know, we've really been working closely with mental health and, you know, and other healthcare issues, and making sure that kids are clothed and fed, and, you know, really just being that one constant for the community and for the families. And I think Miss Massa has done a wonderful job with her team there. And so when we were able to get into this project and I found out about the project, for me, it was really a great opportunity to, give some love to this school building where there's so much love and connection and relationships that already go in there. So we have an incredible team here with a program manager, Doreen Whittier, and our design team, Danisco Design. So they're going to take over here, and you'll really be impressed with the presentation that they have. So first, they're going to introduce their team, and they'll talk about the project team, and then go through the process and the schedule for this project that we have going on at the Welch School. And they'll share some of the educational goals and programs that we've discussed and how they can honor that through this building project and enhancement. And they'll talk about the existing conditions and an overview of the plan, and then give some closing thoughts. At the end, there'll be an opportunity for question and answer. So we'll go over to our attendees, and anyone who's an attendee can raise their hand, and we'll bring them on into the meeting. They'll be able to unmute themselves and ask questions, and we'll be able to engage in some discussion. So at this point, I'll turn it over to Mike Burton and his team. And I just want to thank everyone for the great work that they've done.
Excellent. Thank you, Dr. Vadala. So I just wanted to introduce myself, my firm, and my team members here tonight. Doreen Whittier is the owner's project manager, often referred to as an OPM. Basically, we're here to assist the city throughout all phases of the project from the very beginning till the very end. We view ourselves as an extension of the city's team, and I am Michael Burton. I am the project director here, and I'm a partner with a firm. Working with me is Christina Delangelo as a project manager, Michael Cox is another project manager, and Rachel Donner as assistant PM. So that's a little bit about our team.
Thanks, Mike. Yep, thank you. My name's Donna Danisco, and I am with Danisco Design, and we're really excited to be back working with the city. We have just recently completed the Higgins Middle School, and the very same team will actually be working with the city once again on the Welch School project. I will represent and be a liaison with the MASSSBA, the city, and more importantly, the educational programmer and planner for the project. Vivian Lowe with me this evening is the vice president and principal in charge of the project. And Jim Shuttleworth, who also was instrumental in the Higgins Middle School, will be the project manager for the team. Jeff Oxalita, who's with us this evening, is the project architect, and Ken Danisco is actually still part of the Danisco team and will also play an important role in this project.
All right, thanks, Donna. So what you see on the screen, this is a organizational chart, if you will, of the structure of our team here. Obviously, with the district or the city of Peabody as the owner, the two parties you have here tonight are Doreen Whittier and Danisco, which we've gone through. And then later down the road, once we get a little bit further down the MASSSBA process, we're going to be working with either a general contractor or a construction manager. In addition to these key players, there's several stakeholders involved here. It takes a lot of people to get a school done, starting with the mayor, school committee, school department. There's every board and everything we're going to go through. And so really our job here is to make sure that we're managing the communication between all of these team members and as well as all the stakeholders. And if you see at the top left of the screen, we have our friends at the MASSSBA. We are going to talk a little bit more about them in a moment and we'll explain how all of that works. Next slide. So Beverly talked about this school building committee. What I can share with you is that it is quite a robust and qualified group here. It's exactly who you want to see on a school building committee. You know, again, mayor, school committees, members and chair, school department, starting with the superintendent, the principal, guidance counselors, and teachers. We have the business manager, the facilities manager, help from purchasing, city council members, building commissioner, chief of police, PTO members, and community members as well with very relevant experience. So we think this is a fantastic school building committee that's really going to serve the needs of the district on this project. So now let's talk a little bit about the MASSSBA and their process. So who is the MASSSBA and what do they do? I apologize, I do speak in a lot of acronyms. So MASSSBA is the Mass School Building Authority. They are a quasi-independent government authority, and they were created to reform funding of school projects here in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. It is something that's unique to this state. As Beverly said, the districts do have to apply and receive an invitation into the program. On any given year, the MSBA may see anywhere from 50 to 100 applicants, and 10 to 15 may get in. They are a partner in the process, and they're going to provide funding to the district once they're in the program. They offer a pay-as-you-go reimbursement process to assist the districts in funding their school projects. And currently, they've agreed to approximately 54% reimbursement on this project for all eligible costs, with an agreed-upon enrollment of 390 students. They do have a very clear and linear process, and they have a very robust website. Anybody who's interested in learning more about the MSBA and their process, a lot of information on there. I'd tell you to go take a look. And one of the important things to note, at least as it relates to what we're speaking about tonight, is as part of the studying of options, they require us to study multiple different options: renovation, addition renovation, and new projects, all as potential building solutions. Next slide. So MSBA has essentially 8 modules. We're going to focus on modules 1 through 5 tonight. We are currently in module 3, but I'm just going to backtrack a little bit and explain all the modules to date. So the first module is when the district gets invited into the program. The district provides during this time period, once the city of Peabody got invited in, they had a certain duration to provide a lot more detailed information. This is where enrollment is looked at, confirmation of initial project funding, have to establish a school building committee, and several other requirements. So the city did this successfully, and that was completed towards the beginning of this year. The second module, next slide, please. Forming the team began with a selection of Dorn Whittier as the owner's project manager and completed with a selection of Denisco Design, and this was completed in April of 2020. Third module, which is the feasibility phase, which is currently underway, consists of 2 key deliverables. There's the preliminary design program, also referred to as the PDP, and there's a preferred schematic report, also referred to as the PSR. Starting with a PDP, this is where we're going to explore all of those options that I spoke about, meaning renovation. We can look at multiple ad renos, multiple new. This is where you look at it. Everything's on the table for review. During this phase, we define the educational program by working with the school and establishing goals for not only how the school operates now, but we want to make sure that whatever our solution is going to provide flexibility for the future. And so Donna's going to speak more about that later. The study is also going to look in detail at the existing building that you have there today. And we've done a very thorough review of the building, and we can provide you with some of the results of that analysis. During this phase, we're also going to establish design parameters, and we're going to develop multiple options for MSBA consideration. This is a phase that we're currently in, and we do expect it to be complete this month, meaning December. The next deliverable is the preferred schematic report. This is where we narrow down all of those options that we laid out in the PDP. And we really zero in on the one that we want. This report is going to be basically a summary of the SPC process and the conclusions that were reached during this phase. This is where we're going to focus again on one solution, and it's going to provide some cost comparisons as well. This submission will require an MSBA board vote, and that process we anticipate to be complete in April of 21. Next slide. Module 4. This is called Schematic Design. This is a very important phase for the district. This is where we get into further into design and explore in greater detail project costs with detailed estimates. We begin to look at building approach, whether we want to utilize construction managers or general contractors. This is where we get into a lot deeper into schedule and phasing and logistics. And really, at the end of this is the development of preliminary plans and specifications. The reason this phase is very critical to the city is because at the end of this is where the city makes their agreement with the MSBA, and they enter into what's called a project scope and budget agreement, or a PSNB, more acronyms for you. At the time of PS&B, the city locks in on schedule, cost, and the maximum grant amount. So it's very important that we do our due diligence in this phase, because after that's agreed to, the grant will never go up and we still have further design to complete. During this phase, we are going to come back to you and have another community meeting, which we anticipate to be in February of 21. The completion of that phase and the MSBA board vote that's required is going to take place in October 21. Next slide, please. At the completion of that, once you get that board vote, this is where you enter into module 5, which is the project funding agreement. The city will have 120 days from the board vote to secure project funding. We anticipate this time frame will be the last couple of months of 21, and the process concludes when you enter into the final project funding agreement with the MSBA. On the next slide, we have a linear graphical representation of really the 3 modules that we talked about here tonight. As I said, we will speak further about modules 6, which is completing the design process, module 7, which is construction, and module 8, which is closeout. But since we're in module 3, we didn't want to get too far ahead of ourselves, and we wanted to get you right up to project funding. So with that, I'm going to hand it over to Donna, and she is going to speak a little bit more about educational goals.
Thank you, Mike. The educational goals are the very important first step to designing and ensuring that the school meets the educational needs for the neighboring community. If you go to the next slide, please. As it really is the very first step to determine the size, the structure, the relationships, working with Superintendent Vadala and Michelle Messa, we have already started this process, working closely to understand the current needs of these students, as well as what we really anticipate would transform the educational programming for the school. It's important to note the appropriate grade structures and relationships so that grades can be clustered together, making sure that we provide flexible groupings and spaces for different types of programs, and we'll get into universal design for learning. And then also to ensure that we have flexibility to accommodate enrollment changes and even program changes, such as unanticipated events such as COVID. Next slide, please. Universal design for learning is really an important consideration to provide students with equal opportunities to learn. Every student learns differently, and under the leadership of Dr. Vadala, we really are looking forward to providing flexible spaces for all students to learn equally. And we'll be spending more time working with both Dr. Vadala and Michelle as we go through this phase, the preferred schematic report phase, or the study phase, to finalize the program and how that will work within the building. And I'm going to turn this over to Vivian.
Great, thanks, Donna. Hand in hand with understanding the educational program for the Welch, is also important to understand the challenges and opportunities that the Welch offers. Since we started working on this project this fall, we spent quite a bit of time to understand the existing building and site conditions. Next, please. The first phase of our work involves survey and exploratory work within the site and building to help inform the scope of our project. We want to have a full picture of existing conditions so that we know where there are limitations and opportunities. We've completed most of the tasks outlined here on this slide. You may have seen, for those who live in the neighborhood, you may have seen folks poking around the brush, the school, to survey the existing site. We're also looking at the existing building. We did some of the work before school started in the summertime, so we have a good amount of information for the existing building. Next. We know that the Welch Elementary School is located in a culturally diverse neighborhood, and it's an integral part of the neighborhood and serves as a resource, not only during the school day, but also when school is not in session. It also serves as an extension of the neighboring recreational space. We know that connections to the surrounding neighborhood are important. Here we see the wetlands to the west and a very dense neighborhood to the north and east and parkland. So we want to be good neighbors, not only to the physical neighbors, but also to the natural resources. We know that, we know that construction can be disruptive. We are working with the OPM in the city to identify the neighbors that will be directly affected by the construction activity and will be in close contact before and during construction. The OPM, Dawn Whittier, will have a representative that will be on site every day to ensure good flow of communication, which is really key to a successful project. Next. In evaluating the site conditions, we've identified several components that are in need of repair or replacement. These will be addressed as part of the project. This is the vehicular paving and curbing. We know that some of that needs to be replaced. The recreation areas, the play areas in back are in need of some TLC. And landscaping. We know that we're surrounded by a good amount of natural resources. We want to be able to maintain that and actually celebrate it as part of maybe outdoor learning opportunities. Next. Here's a view of the existing playground. I think some of you might be familiar. The existing structures are actually in great condition. The paved areas, not so much. We're going to be looking at repairing the uneven paved surfaces to provide a more safe surface for play. Next. Here's a view of the existing basketball court and a link to the neighborhood to the north. There are areas that we will be adding sidewalks to provide an accessible path from the neighborhood to the school. Next. So this is a plan of the existing Welch Elementary School. The organization of spaces within the school provides a great natural clustering of classrooms. Each quadrant of the building holds a cluster of each grade. What we found also is that the current classroom sizes are right sized and meet the state guidelines. The lower grades here are located on the first floor. And next. Grades 4 and 5, the higher grades are located on the second floor. Support spaces are distributed throughout the school. Next. In our study of the existing building conditions, we found, however, that many of the building systems are quite old and past their expected useful life. Kind of like a well-loved teddy bear in need of some TLC. These include the mechanical, plumbing, and electrical and technology systems. We'll be addressing all of these components as part of the Welch Elementary School project. We'll also be addressing the areas within the school and on the site that currently do not meet the accessibility codes. This will include renovation of toilet rooms, classroom sinks and cabinets, replacement of building hardware, as well as replacement of the elevator. And we'll also be looking to provide access to the stage in the cafeteria. Next. And we're just going to share some views of the existing building. The building envelope will be a key focus, as we've already discussed. This way back started out as a green repair, right? To replace windows. So here we are. This is going to be really important because it does affect the amount of natural daylight going into the classrooms. There's also the controllability of sunlight. That's going to be a factor. So we're going to be looking at replacing the windows and some masonry repairs. We're going to look at the building entrances and entry doors. Next. And then within the building, we'll be looking at building security components as well as replacement of some of the interior finishes and lighting. This is a view of the main entry door as well as the lobby. And here's a view of the existing gym and cafeteria. here you'll see the clear story panels. These are the high windows. Those will be also replaced so that they will let in a little bit more natural daylight, but we'll need to be able to control the glare as well. Next. So here are some views of the existing library. We're going to be looking at how to build in flexibility within the existing school to support all types of learning. We see that the existing library actually does have some zoning for flexibility, but we want to be able to provide spaces, different types and sizes of spaces within the building as we're looking to make the improvements so that it supports all types of learning opportunities. Next. Here's a view of a typical classroom and a breakout area. Again, we're going to be looking at how to enhance small group learning within the classrooms as well as throughout the school. Next. Classroom and student storage is going to be a key focus. Right now, the student storage is through the set of doors. You can kind of see this through the left slide. Not real efficient storage and doesn't provide really kids with a sense of ownership of their space. So we're going to look at how we can provide better storage for these kids. And then here's a view of a conference room with translucent windows that really probably should be a little more clear. So again, another reason to replace windows. And here is a beautiful view of a unit ventilator. This is currently how all of the classroom spaces are heated, and they are just heated through this unit. We're finding that these older systems have controls that are becoming really difficult to replace. We are looking at different options for the best system that meets our budgetary requirements. It could be a different type of system altogether, but we're also looking at replacing in kind with an updated, more efficient system. So there's a few things on the table for evaluation. Okay, next. And then finally, here's some images of components that will definitely need to be upgraded. Here's an elevator that doesn't quite work, so we will be replacing the elevator. And then there are a few building code upgrades that need to be addressed within the stairs. The Welch Elementary School project will be challenging and complex, but we are excited to find the right solution for your project, for your school. We're pleased that you've joined us for this first meeting, and we'd love to hear your thoughts and ideas. This is really the beginning of the discussion as we move forward to develop the design options for the Welch. As Mike mentioned, or I'm not sure if you did mention, but we will be meeting again early next year as we review our findings and look at the preferred design solution. I think at this point, we'll open it up for questions. Gosh.
Great, thank you, Vivian, and thank you to your team for that great presentation. So right now we have about 22, 23 attendees in our waiting room. If anyone would like to speak, you just have to raise your hand. So you can just click on the button to raise your hand, and I'll bring you into the meeting so that you're able to participate and speak. If anyone is watching on Facebook or on PATV, we have it streaming on Channel 8 on Comcast or on some of the RCN networks. You can also go to our website and just click on the main webpage. There's a link to be an attendee. So if anyone would like to ask a question or to participate, they can go right in. So at this time, we don't have anyone raising their hand. There may be a little bit of a brief delay that we may have. I'm sure that many people are, sort of questioning when would construction actually begin. I know Mike went through the timeline, which was very helpful. I'm sure that the neighbors are sort of thinking when will the construction begin, and so what might the impact be to the city. So I don't know if someone wants to, or at least to the neighboring towns, if someone wants to maybe answer that, and then maybe we'll have someone who will want to jump in and ask a question as well.
Sorry, I had to find my unmute button there.
Mike.
So it is a little bit early in the game to be talking about construction. I think as a group, We understand that, you know, with inflation and costs going up every year, it behooves everybody here to get the project going as soon as possible. We have run some scenarios where it would be possible to start as soon as summer of 22, but we think that a lot of things, everything would sort of need to go right. And so I think we got a good team and that's a possibility, but I think at this phase of the project, it is a little bit soon to begin talking about that. As we need to, number one, confirm which of those multiple options that I spoke about earlier we're ultimately going to do. Obviously, the duration for a repair job could be a lot different from a brand new school. And so there's a lot of options on the table right now. And so the phase that we're at, again, is really, let's put everything on the table. Let's figure out all the potential options. But one thing I can guarantee you is that we understand that being a close abutter to a project can be difficult. And one of the things that we really pride ourselves on is starting that communication with those people as early as possible, bringing them in, making them aware of what's happening, let them know what to expect. And so I can assure you that as we do get closer to that, there's going to be not only these community meetings that are open really to anybody, but there's going to be more specific and detailed ones for the direct abutters. And so we're going to make sure that that happens.
Thanks, Mike. And also it's good to realize that we also bring this up regularly at our school committee meetings. This will be discussed at city council meetings. So this will be something that many people hear throughout time, you know, over the next several months. And Mrs. Dunn has done a great job of giving updates at every school committee meeting. And I am noticing that she has her hand raised. So Mrs. Dunn, would you like to ask a question?
Thanks, Dr. Vadala. One of the things I'd like to bring up, looking at the list of attendees, I'm going to start calling people out on that one. We've got a lot of our committee members on here and also a lot of the staff from the Welch and neighbors to the Welch. And just so that people understand, all of our meetings are open to the public. So we right now have a monthly school building committee meeting, and that, thanks to PATV and the magic of Zoom, those are being broadcast throughout, really courtesy of COVID, but this is working out great to be able to let people participate by watching those meetings and learning about this project. And I remember when we first met you, Mike, you were very impressed by how we had built our school building committee. And we were very deliberate when we did that because we put all the people that we knew, you know, from our experience with the Higgins project, we put all the people on that committee that we knew would have to be involved at various different times throughout the entire process. One of the things we did, we have 2 city councilors on the building committee. As I mentioned earlier, we've got Ryan Melville and Pete McGinn. Ryan and Pete will be serving as another layer of communication with the committee so that if anybody who lives in the neighborhood has a question about this, feel free to reach out to Pete and to Ryan, and they'll be able to give you some information and, you know, put you in touch with the people that might be able to answer a specific question or just be able to give you a lot of the, you know, the whole overlook of this project as we go forward. We're always trying to make sure that we, you know, that we work with the community. That's one of the biggest things that MSBA wants to make sure that we have the community involved in this. And the Welch community is a nice, very, very tight, connected group. And we tried to pull from throughout that community to make sure that voices were represented. And we hope we did that. And as we go forward, as Dr. Vadala said, our meetings will break up into very specific topics. Right now, the full meeting is more general and just by the nature of the project.
I just want to add to that too. So we did send out a flyer to all of the local neighbors that surround the Welch School. And I know Michelle had sent something home with her students with our information regarding the community meeting, but also with my contact information. And so if you do have any questions or if you'd like to share your email address with our team so that way we can communicate with you on a basis of notifications to the local neighbors, please feel free to send me your information so that way we can keep record of that.
Great, thank you. So the teacher in me has a strategy called wait time, which is where we just sit and wait for someone to speak, and it's some uncomfortable silence. But I'm not seeing anyone. I think a lot of our attendees are either pretty close to the Welch School themselves as faculty members, or we have a school committee member and some city councilors as well. And I see some other members of the community here. So they seem to be pretty informed as well. So if anybody else would like to speak, please raise your hand. I am seeing one here. Dr. Lord would like to ask a question. So I'm going to bring him in. And he is joining us as a panelist. And so, Dr. Lord, you can unmute yourself and ask a question.
I had similar questions to what Beverly said about just the timelines of how this is going to happen. I think that's probably the most important thing for folks. It's an exciting opportunity for everyone, and they were answered. I'm sorry I left my hand raised, so I'm good because that kind of got answered. But thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Lord. So again, if anyone has questions, they can certainly reach out, starting with Ms. Massa directly at the school, or if it's a community person, they can reach out to my office or to one of our school committee members or city councilors. This is an open and transparent process, and we're just looking forward to working with the community. And we have a great project manager here, and we have a great design team. So we're really excited about the project. So with that, Mrs. Dunn, we can hang on for a little bit more, but we may need to close this meeting a little early.
I think we can. I'm hoping we covered everything we wanted to, which I think we did. And
so I am seeing a message in the chat from Vanessa Silvera, and she wants to know, will there be an opportunity for the kids and community members to participate in the brainstorming and ideas for the outdoor and potentially the indoor spaces?
Yes. As we define the program and the scope of work, we absolutely will include any community member, whether it's teachers, parents, especially teachers, parents, and even students. The students have such incredible imagination, and they know what they like, especially when it comes to play structures and equipment. So we certainly will look forward to that.
That's a great question. Thank you, Vanessa.
that's actually one of the fun parts of these projects. We will be pulling people in on all kinds of different things, from choosing paint colors to looking at floor tiles, playground equipment and things for the gym. And there's a committee for every detail on this project.
All right, so Vanessa has volunteered. So she is in, which is excellent. So we're excited about that.
We're taking names. I'll be honest, looking at that list, there are some people on there who've been waiting 20 years for this project or longer. So I'm sure they're happy to see this. Oh, this is actually a comment from Marlene Pitsley, a staff person, who's excited. She's excited it's coming to fruition. This 25 years ago, when her son was in kindergarten at the Welch, he asked the then mayor to please give the school new windows. And we can remember that. Anybody else?
No, Beverly, I just want to echo, new windows and opportunities. The connection to the outdoors is just so important for these students, and to bring in the natural light. So we're really just a small improvement, such as actually being able to see the outdoors, it will make a world of difference. So we too are very excited to see clear windows in the school.
It really will be a whole different world. And it's such
Yeah.
a pretty site. The Welch School is located in a very, very pretty site. There's so much nature right there for the kids to learn from. And they really do benefit from the location of the school. We're lucky because it's such a tight-knit neighborhood and so many kids can walk to school and, really, really make true good use of all the areas around the Welch. It'll be nice to be able to see them from inside. Well, I don't see anyone else, Dr. Vadala. No one else is raising their hand. With the next meeting, folks, don't be so quiet. But we hope you really enjoyed this and that you were able to learn a lot from this discussion. And there will be more meetings coming up and definitely more community meetings. Normally, this is the kind of meeting we would have had in the cafeteria, and we would have been baking brownies on the PTO, and there'd be, some juice boxes and water bottles. And now we're doing this from the comfort of your home and watching it on the computer. But hopefully soon we'll be able to see you all in person. But until then, this seems to work out well, and we're always open to suggestions. We're always open to having people, contact us and let us know what you're thinking, what your questions are, and what your suggestions are. With that, if no one else has anything to say, I do think we can let everyone go early. What do you say? Oh, somebody's got their hand up.
Okay, we're going to bring in Conchetta Parteli. And you can unmute yourself.
Oh, you know something? I think she may have been clicking off on the meeting and hit that by mistake because she's not on our list right now.
I just brought her in. It looks like the camera's off, but she is in as a panelist.
There you go.
But she is muted.
Oh. Conchetta, can you unmute your computer or your phone, whichever you're watching us with?
And I think you may have been right. She may have just been looking to leave the meeting and hit the wrong button, because I do think she just left the meeting. So I think we're good.
All right. Well, tune in a couple of months, folks. We're going to have another community meeting, and we'll make sure we let you all know about it. And I hope you enjoyed this one. Thanks again, and have a good night, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.